Good evening, Crime Talk aficionados. My name is Scott Reich, and this is Crime Talk, the most fact-driven, unbiased true crime channel. The channel where you actually have a practicing criminal defense attorney and not some newbie. That's right, some old guy that's been doing this for 26 years that can explain the facts, the procedure, and just the general area of criminal law to you so that you have a better understanding of what is taking place in these cases that we talk about and what you want to talk about. And who knows, maybe you may even actually learn something. All right, welcome. Tonight, it's Tuesday, which means it is our Tuesday night live show. Thanks for joining us. We appreciate you being here. We appreciate the all our aficionados that got here early and checked in on the little chat over here. Appreciate that. I was trying to get it to expand, but it wasn't expanding, so that I can make sure that I try to answer the questions. All right. For those of you who've never been here before, this is our Tuesday night live show. We do our best, and man, we've been doing really well until today. Complete and utter failure on my part. I thought I was going to just get in, do some things today, have a regular show up today. Didn't happen. I literally went from meeting to meeting to meeting. Did a meeting while I was driving to court. Went to court. Got back and literally was in a meeting and had to take care of something before tomorrow because there's have a court appearance tomorrow morning. So it's just been one of those days. So I apologize that I didn't get your video up today. The goal is to do better. I'm going to do better tomorrow. I'm going to come in early. We're going to get some things done so that I can get some things done for the channel. And I hate when I don't get to put up a daily video because I feel like I have failed, because so many of you, when we do miss a day occasionally, literally like, where's my video, Scott? I miss my video. So I apologize. We'll try to make it up to you tomorrow. It's just one of those days. It just absolutely got away from me. And here's the other thing. Can I just tell you, WebEx for court, pandemic, everybody, you can't go to court, do WebEx. The pandemic absolutely helped the criminal court system and the civil court system, for that matter, leapfrog about 10 years as it relates to technology. I mean, before the pandemic, if you had told me a judge would allow you to appear via WebEx and your client via WebEx, I never would have saw it coming. Never, never, never. The pandemic changed all that. And I think a lot of people realize, man, this is so much more convenient, right? So today, if I had been on WebEx, I could have been sitting at the conference room table because we have a big TV monitor there, and we can have our client sitting across the table. I could have showed up, taken 15 minutes. But no, what did I have to do? I had to go up there, drive, wait for the WebEx to begin from all the people from the jail to argue to a judge in person. And, by the time it's all said and done, it's 3.5 hours round trip, completely inefficient, costs the money. The client literally gets charged, $1,000. And most of it's driving. I don't like to do that. It's just not, but that's the fee. That's the rate, right? And so I just wish the courts would say, hey, listen, let's just do WebEx unless we're going to do something of substance, right? There's some pleas that have to be done in person. There are motions hearings that should be done in person, obviously if they involve factual witnesses. And obviously trials must be done in person. But all the other stuff, why are we doing it back in person? I think some judges like the fact that everybody has to show up for court, sit around and wait in their courtroom, and it kind of takes away the whole power thing when I can be sitting at my desk or sitting with my client getting things done and not just, waiting on the judge and, kind of the power shifting thing that works there. So just a little bit of venting on my part, all right? But once again, I am sorry for not getting your video up today. Tomorrow we'll do better. Maybe we'll do a double header. I don't know. We'll do something. Try to make it up to you. So, see, look, I see it. Somebody wrote in there, where was the video today? I'm sorry. See, people want to know that. It was just a busy day. I apologize. And for some people, I know there's some people that, do channels and things like that where that is their full-time job. Unfortunately, I still have a day job. I still have to do it. And most days it's a pretty good gig. Would this be fabulous to do this full time? Oh my gosh. Could you imagine if we could do Crime Talk 8 hours? There is so much content out there, so much interesting stuff out there. We could literally do this 10, 12 hours a day. I'm telling you, there's so much good stuff. But there's only so many hours in the day. I mean, I'm willing to stay here from 6 to midnight. I'm not sure how Julie and Frank, who are sitting behind the screen here, would be up for that. But Scott, fix your hair. Makeup. Huh. Yeah, well, I don't know if y'all know, but man, I had to get a haircut the other day, and it was getting too long. When it gets long, it gets all wavy. But that's just one of those things where it's a good problem to have, right? At my age, I still have a full head of hair, so I am doing better than 99% of I'd say 75, 80% of the people my age, right? So I got that going for me. I still need to get a haircut every 2 weeks, whether I need it or not. That's a good thing. So, all right. Couple introductory things, appreciate and thank all our mods out there. Appreciate what they do and be nice to them. They're not trying to create issues. And I think they're usually kind of err on the side of letting everybody leave their comments. But every now and then people cross the line. They're using their best judgment. So be nice to them. If you haven't done so already, please, hit that like button. Hit the subscribe if you haven't done that either. And also, make sure you hit that bell. And some people need to check that. We get notices from people that say, I don't know what happened, but YouTube unsubscribed me. And I don't get my video anymore. So they had to reapply, hit that bell. So make sure you do that so that you get notices, obviously, when we put up new content, which we try to do every day, except for today. And maybe we didn't squeeze it in because I knew we were going live tonight for our Tuesday night live show. And then if you are a Patreon member, you'll be joining us this evening after this live show where it's very intimate. Looks like right now we're right about 700 people. Hopefully we can get that even higher. But when we do our Patreon, I think we're 50 people or less on that. Patrons, they all can't join us. But on top of answering your questions via the chat, we give you the number, the secret number that you can call in and ask the questions and talk. And we have some regular callers which call in. And so that's pretty good. And then, of course, we got the old Magic 8-Ball question. And correct me if I'm wrong, Julie, I think you were the designated Magic 8-Ball stat keeper. I believe the Magic 8-Ball has been correct 98.6% of the time.
At least.
So, and you say, what is the Magic 8-Ball? Well, the Magic 8-Ball is that. That's right, the Magic 8-Ball. I don't remember exactly. I remember an associate attorney worked for me years and years ago. I don't remember how she got it, but she was deciding to leave which was, it's all good. She's ultimately a judge right now. So, and I did train her teach her everything that I know. I trained her out of law school, molded her into a little me. Man, could she work long hours? She was old school lawyer stuff, right? Because when I started practicing law, you didn't go home until the senior partner was leaving, right? I mean, that's just what it is. You better be there pretty darn early or pretty close to the time that he gets in. Now, these days, not so much. It's a different twist in the area of the field of law. But that particular associate who's now a judge, I used to get in super early, like 4:30, 5 o'clock in the morning. I used to be a machine, and I'm like, "What are you doing here?" She's like, "Well, if you're going to be here, I'm going to be here." But ultimately, she was basically like, "I'm burnt out. I can't keep doing this. I can't do this anymore." I'm like, "Fine, you can take Sunday off, right? It's okay. You can take Sunday off." Because we used to work six days a week. Now, when I talk with this former associate, she is like, "Scott, who are you? What has happened to you?" Because literally, I would work 7 days a week, and we're not that way anymore. We're much kinder, gentler law firm, I guess you could say. Because my former associates, they literally are like, "What is wrong with you? Like, you take time off, you go places." Yeah. It's, and some days it's just like, yeah. Anyway, we'll leave it at that. It's great. Let's see here. You're overworked. Please be kind to yourself. I'm taking care of myself. I promise you, I'm taking care of myself. Although I'm not going to lie, COVID, I should have come out of it a better person, probably like train for a marathon or something. But in the alternative, I managed to, pack on 30 pounds. But I'm working on that. So I had my one meal today. And other than that, it's like 2 protein drinks throughout the day. So, my chicken quesadilla, I know, not the healthiest thing, but simple, fast. And then my protein drinks. So got to lose 30 pounds. So hold me to it. All right. Let's see here. All right. So obviously a lot of stuff going on out there in the criminal law world for sure. I mean, we've got the Supreme Court in session, which is always interesting. And I'm telling you, if we used to put them up, maybe we should do that up again. But we used to put up the audio recordings to the Supreme Court oral arguments. We didn't do it for the civil cases, but we did it for the criminal law cases because I think it's just so fascinating. All right. Because, and I'm telling you this, I mean, obviously when it gets to the Supreme Court, you are, you've lost. Somebody's lost at least twice, let's just say in a criminal case, usually the defendant has lost. Maybe the government's, they're 1-for-1 and Supreme Court's going to decide it, but it has to be a unique and novel issue. And we just recently had a case go up to the United States Supreme Court, and sometimes they just summarily dismiss it. We actually made it to the conference, whereupon it was dismissed. So my client doesn't get, reversed, and it is what it is. But when you get to that point, it's such an interesting world because it's so sterilized, right? It's not like trial court where you've got the emotion of in-person witnesses. You've got a jury. You've got that audience right there. Hostile witnesses that are copying attitudes with you. You may be throwing a little sarcasm back their way, trying to walk the line of being respectful to the judge, but still trying to say, Judge, you don't know the rules of evidence, if they flew over to your desk and hit you in the head. There's a lot going on. But if it doesn't make it in the record, right, it's not part of the, if it's not on the record, it's not part of the record, which means you can't raise it on appeal, right? So everyone always says, wow, these attorneys are always objecting. It's so boring. Why are they doing that? Well, they're doing that to make their record, okay? And I had a case once where the 10th Circuit was like, we would have reversed. We would have reversed that argument by the prosecutor in closing argument was probably unacceptable, but the defense didn't object. And it's always that fine line. Well, it's closing argument. You're not supposed to object. Some people think you shouldn't do that at all. That was my epiphany. Okay? Because I was trying to be nice. I was trying to be a gentleman. Now when we go into court, I'm still nice. I'm a gentleman. But I object, right? First question out of the box. It's usually a police officer as their first witness. Officer, please state your name. What do you do for a living? I happen to see that you're in a police uniform. Does that mean you're a police officer? Well, yes, it does. Why don't you please tell me about your training and experience? Objection, relevance, right? Only police officers, somehow the courts think that is relevant, that this person has been a police officer for 20 years. It's improper bolstering. I couldn't then bring in my non-expert witness and say, what did you see? But before we get there, what do you do for a living? Do you like long walks on the beach? What's your sign? You can't do that. It's not relevant. So I object early. I object often. And if anyone ever has been to trial with me knows if there's, I may not be the smartest guy, certainly not the best looking guy in the world, but the one thing I know is the rules of evidence. And you just learn them by going through. And I literally have had district attorneys say, but Your Honor, Mr. Reich keeps objecting. And the judge will say, but I'm sustaining the objections because they're proper, right? And I'm telling you, you want to throw off a DA, you want to throw, stick that pole into somebody's, wheels when the spokes are going around, right? And you stick it in there, boom. You want to do that? I'm telling you, you object, all right? Because it flusters the district attorneys, all right? And what happens when district attorneys get flustered? Okay, because let me tell you a little secret, right? This is the stuff that no one is ever going to admit to anybody, okay? All right? This is like secret stuff here, all right? Just remember this. This is secret stuff. Don't get me wrong, there are some very, very good prosecutors, okay? And I can think of some off the top of my head, but I won't mention their names, but they're very, very good. It's when you go to court, it's going to be a showdown, right? I love doing that. I love it. Nothing better than when you go to court and you got great attorneys on both sides. It's just a good show. And I don't mean a show like in the sense of, but it's good lawyering taking place. Everybody likes to see good lawyering. But here's the dirty little secret, okay? Just like there's quite a few bad defense attorneys, okay? I'm telling you this. There are just as many bad district attorneys. Don't tell anybody though, okay? And let me tell you what district attorneys do, particularly the young ones, okay? And now this is just my observation, okay? When I first opened my practice, got out of the military, came here to Denver, okay? Obviously, I was the new young kid on the block, didn't know anything, probably had the same haircut, looked exactly the same. Just a few more wrinkles and stress lines. And there were some really good attorneys from the prosecutor's office. I mean, we're talking like a deep bench when it comes to prosecutors. They were just good, right? A lot of those people have retired. So a lot of the DA's offices don't have a very deep bench these days when it comes to experience. And a lot of them just haven't tried cases. And they're not good. And they're very scripted. Okay? And I'm telling you, I can write a script for here's my theory of my case. Here's my theme, right? Theory of my case. My guy didn't do it. You got the wrong guy. Theme. My client's been wrongfully accused. He's been misidentified. That's it. I can write out what witness I anticipate they're going to call because I got to tell you who they're going to call, what I want to get out of that witness, what motion. I just do it now by, you do it. But when you're younger, you kind of script it out. And most DAs, younger ones, will write out every question. And but they do it not saying, I just want to talk about this subject and this is what I need to get out of it. They literally script it. An objection, leading, objection, calls for speculation. But and next thing you know, their head is spinning. They don't know what to do. They're panicking. They're shuffling their papers. They're looking at their files. And these days, they all look at their computers and, oh my gosh, what am I? No further questions. And they forget all the good stuff, right? And sometimes I've literally have been like, any questions? Yeah, no, Your Honor. I think we're good here because they didn't ask any of the good stuff, and I'm not going to give them an opportunity to redirect. So I'm going to pass this witness. Thank you very much. And then they realize when I make my motion for judgment of acquittal, oh my God, I didn't prove identity. I didn't have them identify somebody in court, right? And the whole case is identification, and they didn't do it. Yeah. And then, they're, well, Judge, we like to reopen the case. Oh, really, Judge? They've rested. They said they were done. They're professionals. Why are you holding them to a lower standard just because they're the prosecutors? Are they that incompetent that they need further help? DAs hate to hear that. But usually the judge will allow that because they're former prosecutors. And they're like, well, we know deep down that your client's guilty of something. We can't have him walk because you're a better lawyer. So I'm going to help them out as much as I can and let them reopen their case. Seen it a dozen times. I mean, seriously, okay? Sometimes they're just not that good. Just not that good. And that's why you have to know the rules of evidence, okay? So if there's anyone out there that wants to be a lawyer, and I'm not talking just a lawyer, okay? And I'm not talking about a litigator, right? This is where I get in trouble with all the other lawyers out there, right? Anybody can be a lawyer. Just about anybody can be a litigator because litigators really don't go to court that often. Usually it's like civil guys. They, work the case. They take a bunch of depositions and then they settle on the eve of trial when they've figured they've reached what their, maximum billing is they could be and what have you. And then there's trial attorneys. Trial attorneys are like, let's go. Let's do this thing, right? Trial attorneys are the ones that say, so my client confessed, committed the crime in front of 3 witnesses. There's DNA and the weapon is right there. Trial attorneys say, is that all they got? Let's go do this thing, right? Because you never know what's going to happen, right? I have won trials I should have lost. I have lost some that I thought I was in the game on. Not going to lie. It's happened to everybody. It all depends on the jury selection process, voir dire. But sometimes you don't know. I literally have had cases where I thought, this is the worst loser. What am I doing here? I am going to take a beating. They're going to kick my teeth in. I'm going to be bloody. No one's going to recognize me because I'm going to get beat up so bad here in this courtroom. And you win it. And you're just like, what the? Like, you think, did they just hear what I mean, it's great, okay? And that makes up for the times where, as a defense attorney, you get the crap beat out of you, okay? Let me tell you 2 little quick war stories, all right? Had this case. The guy had done, let's just say, terrible things. He was convicted of it, but terrible things to certain children, okay? But he had pissed people off, and he had like withdrawn a plea before I got there and what have you. And so a very experienced prosecutor was like, see you in court. I'm like, well, can't we resolve this? Because this reads really bad on paper, and I got nothing. Sure, we can't resolve it. Like, no, your client, we'll see him in trial, and they're going to go to prison for the rest of their life. And you're just like, oh, okay. And I'll never forget it. I get up there that first day, voir dire, innocence, fair and impartial jury, you could do it. Hold the government to their burden of proof. The first couple of witnesses, no big deal. Boom, boom, boom. And then all these witnesses that had never met, had been separated by years, if not decades, would tell the same story about how bad things were done to them by my client sitting there right next to me. And they would, the big dramatic thing. Now, victim number 23. Do you see the bad man in the courtroom here that did that? And they would look on the stand and, tears would be coming down their cheeks after they testified to the bad things and relived everything in the traumatized situation that they just went through. And you're just like, please, don't point over here again, because we got like 24 more victims to go. This is good. And he, the victim just points like, there's the man, the defendant sitting over there. The man in the white shirt and the blue suit. And you're like, you look and you're like, my client has the same shirt and suit on as I do. Okay, maybe we got something to work with here in closing, right? He identified me, right? No, then they have him clarify. Well, it appears both men. Could you say, oh, yeah, it's the bad man there to the far left. Like, oh, okay. And, when the jury promptly convicts your client and they want to do sentencing like the next day, and after the sentencing, you have jurors that show up for sentencing because they hate your client so much, right? That is the worst feeling ever. You're like, oh God, let's just get this over with. I mean, will the abuse just stop here, please? And you do it, and you do everything you can for your client, and they're going to get whacked, and they probably deserve every day that they spend in their little cell until they die because they've done bad things. But you have defended and protected their constitutional rights, afforded him due process, and handed off to the appellate people. And then the jurors come up and they say, they're there for sentencing. And they're like, hey, Mr. Reich, man, I just want to say, I think you did a really good job with what little you had to work with, and you seem like a nice guy. Well, thank you. Thank you, juror. But then the juror then says, but I just want to let you know, I absolutely hated and despised your client, and I would go home at night and I was doing home construction, and I would literally just beat the hammer thinking about what your client did to all these victims. You're like, okay, you don't have a hammer, do you, with you right now, right? You're not going to take it out on me, are you? No. And, so every now and then, things work out great. Other times you just have to sit there as the defense guy and take your lumps. And, that was one case. And there was another case that was so bad. So bad. I had achieved a global disposition, resolved multiple cases in the same, dismiss in one jurisdiction if he pleads guilty here. And the client was like, yeah, we're going to take that deal, man. We're good to go. Show up for court. Yeah, I'm not pleading guilty. I'm going to trial. Really? Because what alternate universe are you living in? Because we have no good facts, right? They've got DNA. They've got a small child. The victim who delivered the child, who was conceived, at, let's say, pre-teens, early teens, what do they call it, tweens or something, like the 12, 13-ish time frame. And you're significantly older, well beyond the years. Like, what do you want to go accomplish at trial? You want to go to prison for the rest of your life or get out? Well, we have to let the truth be known. What truth would that be? The one where you confessed? The one where the DNA, where they went to like 16 alleles and said, this is your child? And like, no, we're going to trial. And you got nothing. And your opening and your closing is hold the government to the burden of proof. And it's so bad. It's so bad the DAs are like, yeah, we're not going to do our final closing because we just feel so bad for Scott that he had to be here. We feel his pain. But let's move along. You know what I mean? That's the way it is. So anyway, we got a bit of a digression there, but I'm telling you, as an attorney, if you want to be an attorney, our Patreons, we still send out the trial guide, do we not, with all the evidentiary things?
Yeah, it's posted on the Patreon.
Oh, it's posted on the Patreon page. So I'm telling you, that's how cases are won or lost. It's the rules of evidence. Okay? Had two just recently, not that long ago. Young DAs didn't know how to get the DNA evidence in. Well, that was their whole case, and they can't get it in. And then they got to stand up to the jury in closing, and they can't mention the evidence that they didn't get in. And everybody's like, because you guys screwed it up, because we were here, we saw you. And the judge said, no, you're not going to go get that witness. They're not even on the witness list. Motion to continue, denied. And so they also, they got to find your client not guilty. So the rules of evidence. If you're a Patreon member, you can go to get our trial guide there. Breaks down all the rules of evidence. It's the most important thing that anybody's going to do trial work needs to know. And this is why I think trial lawyers make such damn good general counsel to corporations, in-house counsel, because they know what you got to do or not do, something that's going to be admissible or not admissible in court, right? I mean, most people just don't get it. And that's, if you're a general counsel for somebody, you are literally keeping them either preparing something for trial or trying to keep them from ever getting to trial. So you have to set it up the right way. And the one thing is, if you're going to have to go to court, you want to make sure it's properly documented, witnesses are around, things like that. Is a business record maintained so that you have everything you need to prevail on your case. So, Don Marie, I got jury duty. Thanks, Scott. I got it the day after you said it. I'm telling you, listen, if you're a CrimeTalk aficionado, if you're watching us for the first time tonight, I'm telling you, you get that jury summons, don't say, oh my gosh, this is terrible. Go. And when everybody asks who wants to be here, raise your hand. Raise your hand and say, you know what, judge, district attorney, defense counsel, I want to be here because I want to make sure the system works, right? And if the government proves their case beyond a reasonable doubt to each and every element of the offense is charged, I'm going to convict because that is my solemn oath and obligation. And on the other hand, if the prosecution fails to prove their case, even just one element of each charge beyond a reasonable doubt, it would be my solemn oath and obligation to say not guilty. And that's the way the system works. And I've been trying cases for 26 years now, ladies and gentlemen. I don't think I've ever spoken to a juror that said that it was a terrible experience. They all said it was really interesting, okay? Sometimes there's some delays, but the courts and the counsel are working as hard as they can so that there's no interruption, so nobody gets prejudiced in any way because of that. I'm telling you, it is the best thing you can do. And talk about your civil obligation. Other than voting, jury selection is really, for most people, it's where the Constitution and everyday citizens, the rubber meets the road. You should do it. And you'll see that it's not like it is on TV where everything gets wrapped up in an hour, right? Sometimes I've had jury selection, voir dire, take days, weeks, because that is the most important part of the trial, in my humble opinion. Because if you got people that aren't going to be fair and impartial, it's broken, right? It's broken for both sides. Who wants to win if the deck's completely stacked against you? It's not even a fair fight. You want some competition. Yeah, you like to win, but the reality of it is anybody that's worth their salt want to go against the best, right? Right? Any coach, any quarterback out there, use a football analogy, who doesn't want to go up against Tom Brady and try to beat him, right? And that's kind of the whole trial lawyer thing as well. Like a trial lawyer, they're the guy that's going to be saying, give me the ball, coach. Give me the ball. I'll get it done. I'll get it done. It's not the person like, I'm going to sit back here and maybe if you need me, call me, right? And we're like, let's do this thing. So, but you'll see if you go to trial, it's not like it is on TV, right? And I saw something the other day. I thought this was rather interesting. That it was something in regards to law students that a large number of them, go to law school and apply because they think this is what I want to do. I want to be a lawyer. I want to fight injustice in the world. I want to make the world a safer place. I want to make the world a better place and spread justice, bottom line. And so you want to do that. And then you get, what's the word I'm looking for? You find out that's not really about all that, right? I remember when I was young and going to school, it was the crime show was, not crime show, but the lawyer show was LA Law. And you thought, wow, this is fancy. Like, everybody shows up and they sit around these beautiful offices and they have their suits on every day and nobody ever takes it off and everything just resolves and you win every case, etc. And you quickly find out that's not the case. You find out that you don't always get justice by going to court, and the system isn't fair, right? That's just the reality of it. It's just the reality of it. And, bottom line is, what's the word I'm looking for? We'll just leave it at that. It's just not what everybody thinks it is. And it's not always about getting justice. It's not always about things going exactly the right way, but they usually go the way they're supposed to. And it can be a little disheartening. The reason why there's so many damn law schools, I used to think the reason why we needed so many lawyers was because, we have so many more rights than everybody else, and we have people protecting those rights. And I think as I get older, the real thing is that most attorneys get burned out very quickly. And I've seen true believers, and I mean true believers, I'm talking like, they have been preparing for this since the 8th grade. Everything they've done has become a lawyer to fight injustice. They did every clinic they could in law school, to helping people getting evicted from their house, to the working at the public defender's office and then getting hired to the public defender's office. And they drank the Kool-Aid. Okay? They drank the Kool-Aid. And I've literally seen them like, yeah, I'm done. I'm going to go do something else. Or maybe they go practice a completely different area of law. I know one attorney but literally that was the path. Defending, public defender all the way. And that particular individual is now doing insurance defense. which is literally the complete opposite of everything that person probably thought about. They're now working for big insurance, and it can do that. This stuff can wear you out being an attorney. And, some days it's the greatest job in the world. Other days it is the worst, and you literally want to go work at Starbucks, right? And I've even thought about it. Like, I had a couple days, I don't know, maybe 2 months ago. The lovely Miss Kristen would remind me of this, and I literally was like, "What the hell am I doing this for?" I got a staff full of attorneys, this and that. Talking about they're all great attorneys, but it seems like I'm the only one here on Saturdays, except for Frank and Julie because they come in. But because that's our time we can actually talk. Like today, I think I saw them both for the first time about 4:30 this afternoon, right? It's a tough job, but literally a couple months ago, I was thinking, I'm done. I cannot take this anymore. I had a friend call me up the other day. He's like, I don't know if I can do this anymore. I'm literally just don't know if I can do this anymore. And he's been practicing law for 40 years. He's one of the smartest people I know. And for somebody that's been doing it for 40 years and one day all of a sudden it's like, man, I just don't know if I can do this anymore. And some clients are great, but a lot can be very difficult, very demanding. And I get that because a lot of times clients are scared, right? They're scared. They don't know what's going to happen. Their whole life is at risk, their jobs, their careers, their family, and you do your best. And obviously you want to do your best for every client, but you're not always going to win every case. And you don't always have good word, like good news, right? A doctor doesn't always go back and say, oh, we saved every patient. It was a great day. Sometimes there's only so much I can do, right? Like, hey, I got an idea. You're worried about losing your career. You probably shouldn't do things that are going to jeopardize it, right? You're worried about losing your family. You probably shouldn't try picking up prostitutes, when you're married and got 2 kids. And, oh, yeah, the only thing your wife wants to know before we leave the jail today is there any way she can get the child seat out of the car from impound, right? Yeah, those are those weird conversations you have. So you have to kind of say, it's like, dude, or dudette, female, like, I'm doing the best I can, but I'm not the one that created the facts that have brought us all here together, right? So, yeah. And of course, and every, but how, good question, Julie had a good question, is that, you just try to do your best and, do your can. And then you have to try to decompress, right? I remember when I was a young attorney, oh my gosh, I could not turn it off. Oh my God, it's all up to me. It's all up to me. This person's career, it's all up to me. Couldn't sleep. Yeah. And so you have to learn to turn it off, and you have to be able to, decompress, right? A lot of attorneys, I don't know what the number, it's been a while since I've looked at it, but, attorneys have, high rate of alcoholism, depression. It seems like in the criminal defense area, we probably lose at least 1 or 2 every year. And, to suicide, because it's a stressful job, and they carry the weight of their shoulders on them. And so, and then you think, okay, well, if I'm going to quit, then what the hell am I going to do? Right? Yeah, I like to play golf, but there's only so much golf somebody could play. We could go travel, right? The lovely Miss Kristen and I could go travel. But, I'd like to see my kids. I'd like to see their kids. I mean, I'd probably want to I could see how it start off. Well, I'll just take maybe just one case, old client or something. I would be bored to death. Because I've always said that if it's you hate the preparation for trial, because frankly, the trial preparation is, if it's a one-day trial, figure 3 days of trial prep for that one day. Just a general, by the time you get discovery, interview witnesses, blah, blah, blah. So think about that. For that one day, you've probably got 24 hours work. Well, you got a 5-day trial, a 7-day trial. Think of how many hours or prep go into that. And you're preparing for every little thing, trying to anticipate, every little move on the chessboard, so to speak. So a lot of stress go into that. But once trial starts, it's like, man, let's do this thing, right? Like, if this is what people, the high that they feel when they take their drug of choice, whatever it is, that is mine. Like, game on, let's do this thing. We are here to win. So anyway, we digress. And then, of course, like Julie asked the question, so what do you do to decompress? Well, you try to relax. Hopefully the drive home will get you there so that you, like, try not to look at your phone and the lovely Miss Kristen looks at you like, you haven't put your phone down since I've been home. I'm like, oh, you're right. Let me turn this over. Sorry about that. And then you say, hey, I think I'm going to maybe go watch a little mindless television up on the patio with a cigar. And then maybe it's 2 cigars, right? I don't drink, so I'm not going to do that. Anything else, but because that usually turns in from one cigar, 1 drink to 3. Oh, I had a rough week, and turns into more, and it's just bad news. So yeah, lawyers need to take care of themselves. But whatever. I just thought this goes by so fast. Here, anyway. All right. Saw a couple of good questions going by, stuff like, Scott, have you ever had a case where somebody got off and they were dangerous and they went out and did it again? Yes. I've represented a client, walked him on 2 homicide cases. I assure you the district attorney reminded me of that on the second case. Whereupon we got a not guilty. So yeah, I was just like, hey, the prosecutor should have had a better case. They failed to prove their case. Let's see here. Kelly B., I remember when the first time I went to traffic court, it was like a whole other world. It's intimidating AF, especially if you're young. Yeah, no, which is why I always tell everybody, I don't care what you do. If you go to court, get yourself an attorney. How do you know if the DA is not there to help you, right? The DA could literally look at that file. I don't care if you're in traffic court or little misdemeanor, whatever. The DA could look at that file and say, yeah, I can't prove that case, but man, I got to keep my stats up. Hey, will you take a plea to this? And the person's, yeah, I think so. That's a good idea, right? The guy was like, well, I can't give you any legal advice, but yeah, I think, it's probably, I'd do it. And so, don't do it. How do you know? I've literally had people like, I want to go confess. And like, why? Right? Let's see here. It's a couple years ago, my 19-year-old son got a ticket speeding. So I went with him 39 times, filled the room. The stop's rolling here because I'm not in the thing. Sorry about that. 8 police. My son was scared to death, even though I told him that's what to expect. Yeah. It can be scary and intimidating, right? It can absolutely be scary and intimidating. You want somebody there that knows what to do. CR, Scott is frazzled tonight. Yeah, no. It's just been one of those days. And I assure you, I got all this news up here we could sit and talk about, but we just kind of got talking and, well, here's where we are. So, yeah. So let's talk about a couple of cases that the people want to talk about. Obviously, we've got the Alec Baldwin situation. I think somebody's going to be charged in that one. Somebody in the staff, director. even Alec Baldwin. I really do. I think that's going to happen. Alex Murdaugh there in South Carolina, they're going to probably attach all of his assets. A receiver will more than likely be brought in. So basically the estate will not be squandered. And if there's money to be paid, it'll go to their creditors and not to, was it Buddy? Isn't that the son's name? Buster. Yeah, Buster. Who took a trip out to Las Vegas to go gambling just the other day. Okay, now this is where somebody needs a lawyer to say, hey, now I know, Buster, you haven't done anything wrong. You're grieving. Your mother, your brother have been killed. Your father tried to kill himself. It didn't quite work out that way. He's just been arrested and probably on the hook for tens of millions of dollars that he allegedly stole from his law firm, as well as clients that he swindled. But Buster, we now understand you need to take some time to yourself. Yeah, no. That's where you advise Buster. Everybody's going to be watching you, okay? And appearance, perception is reality, and therefore they should not see you at the poker table gambling away in Las Vegas. I understand that's how you relax, decompress. Somebody should have told old Buster that just didn't look good when you have all these, because remember, Buster is a defendant as well in the civil case regarding the death of Mallory Beach, because he's the one that gave his license to his younger brother so that he could go take care of that, to be able to buy the alcohol from a minor. So Simone R. Hey, Scott, can you comment on the Elizabeth Holmes case? Sure, why not? Now, for those of you who aren't familiar with the Elizabeth Holmes case, and I'll try to get the facts as the best I could, but Elizabeth Holmes was apparently, not stupid young lady. I think she was going to Stanford, maybe did a semester or two, but dropped out. She was going to start her new company, this lab test, where they could literally detect like 23 illnesses or conditions by just a little prick of the pin. Supposed to be the next big thing, going to change the world. So what's the word I'm looking for? This nice young lady gets her company, gets some investors, some seed money. Things go public, or I'm sorry, they're raising more money. I don't think they actually ever went public. And then, well, let's just say things didn't go exactly as planned because, well, all the lab testing really didn't do what they were supposed to do. Basically, they were faking it. And the test they were given was from a different machine, and kind of everybody knew it. But, the question is, was it a complete fraud upon the investors to the point that it's criminal in nature? Or was it just a bad business venture and sometimes things don't turn out? And, I'm probably going to get in a ton of trouble here, figuratively speaking. But most of and don't get me wrong, I've represented some of the biggest fraudsters around, okay? They are sweet talkers. I'm telling you, the fraudsters are, they're smooth. First of all, they want to wine and dine you. Oh, you're great. You're the greatest person. Oh, yeah. It's their MO. They usually hang out at like country clubs where all the money is or what have you. They're always the most generous guy in the room, helping everybody. Oh, you want, kind of a Bernie Madoff kind of guy, right? And they are, glad handing everybody. Oh yeah, I love it. Oh, you want to invest? Oh yeah, it's be great. Let's invest. Yeah, blah. We're gonna have returns that you'd never see anywhere else. And these people, these con men, they make some of the most outrageous, ridiculous claims that you would think, who would believe that? Oh, we're going to have guaranteed 250% return this year. Really? Wow. So you've really cracked the code. You, some guy sitting in, wherever. You're not some Wall Street guy, not a Warren Buffett, anything like that. But you've cracked the code that you're going to get 258% return guaranteed. Really? Okay. And people will invest. And it's the same thing that happened with that case out there with the whole blood testing deal. All these sophisticated people, okay? And I mean sophisticated. We're not talking about little old ladies that invested their, retirement money into something. Like that's fraud, okay? But when you get people, there's, like I said, there's companies that are listed as victims in this case where, they're saying, oh, I didn't know they frauded. And what kind of due diligence did you do? Right? There should be, and this is where I'm going to get in trouble, there should be a jury instruction, a legitimate defense to any kind of fraud case. Okay? My God, Scott, what possible defense do you think that there should be in, a fraud case where they're saying, these sophisticated people invested money and they were swindled by this, college dropout. Yeah, she may be from Stanford, really smart, but she conned us all. She's the greatest con artist of all. Because I had 50 years in business and it was the first time I've ever been scammed and I lost all my money. And there should be a jury instruction called greed. That's right, greed. And it basically would have to read something to the effect of, and this is what most defense would argue, but it would basically be, are you kidding me? These people got into this venture because they thought they were going to get rich. They got greedy. They ignored every sign that was out there that this person had never started a company like this. They have no real experience in business whatsoever. And sure, these people gave all their money and the company went up in evaluation and they spent the money on private planes and fancy trips and what have you, blah, 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 blah. But ladies and gentlemen, you have to hold the victims a little bit accountable because of greed. That's where I'm going to get in trouble. Okay? And I don't think people should go around scamming people and anything like that. I really don't. But if you're going into a venture like that, that's speculative at best, no proven track record, you're getting in there because you're risking money that hopefully you can afford to lose. It's gambling. And so when things go to crap, don't come back and blame everybody that you were conned, you were duped, you were, oh my goodness, it was so terrible, right? We're not talking about somebody that's, like I said, stealing little old ladies. We're talking some pretty sophisticated people. And I've seen litigation like that as well. We were like, oh, you were duped, like it was a publicly traded type of situation. And you're just like, really? Because you have how many attorneys and accountants that you hired to do the due diligence and you guys didn't find anything? Well, it's because the books were fixed. Well, why didn't you guys spot the books if they were fixed so poorly? So I get it. You can't go around cheating people out of money. Certainly can't fraud, which is, theft by, deception. But it's so yeah. I don't know. I think she's going to be found guilty, bottom line. So, all right, question. Can you represent clients like normal people? Need advice? Boo. Yes, I assure you, Carol, we represent more normal people than you could possibly imagine. That is most of our clientele. I assure you of that. Very, very down-to-earth, legitimate, everyday people. Absolutely. Yes, and Scott does like to fly to, for lack of a better term, relax and decompress. I just saw that there in the comments. Absolutely. I got to plug this in before it dies. Sorry. Scott, wonder what you think about Alec Baldwin. Well, my advice was, and people pushed back at me. I mean, they were so rude. Oh, we could tell by your look, Scott. You don't like Alec Baldwin. I don't know Alec Baldwin. Okay? I thought he did a pretty good Donald Trump on Saturday Night Live. I don't know him. It's not like we're going to hang out. But my advice was, I think he needs to lawyer up. And that was just me giving my advice from handling cases. Never done one like it was on a movie set. But I'm telling you, there are going to be prosecutors out there. There are going to be individuals that are saying, you pointed a gun. It was your ultimate responsibility to assure that the gun was safe. The fact that somebody else said it was safe doesn't matter. You should have done it. And there'll be a lot of people out there of that same mindset. Okay. And my advice, pick a jury that has no experience with firearms in this particular case. Okay. Because the people on the jury that have experience with firearms and negligent, manslaughter, reckless manslaughter, criminally negligent homicide cases, and it involves a firearm and your defense is, well, it just went off, their position is usually going to be that of the prosecutor, which is, well, if he had exercised better gun safety, this never would have happened, right? Somebody's going to say Alec Baldwin apparently was doing some cross-body thing and he was holding his finger out and going to fire the gun, right? And I guess the first question is, this is a rehearsal, first of all, right? You like that? The finger? He's holding the finger out there. Dun, dun, dun. He's got the finger, but he's got a real gun with apparently a real bullet, real rounds in it. Why do you have to pull the damn trigger when he's literally pointing at the camera where that Helena woman was apparently standing or sitting right next to, and she got hit? I think a prosecutor could make a case of criminally negligent homicide, not only against Alec Baldwin for the actual shooting, the pulling the trigger, but every one of the people that said it was a cold gun, or it was cold, i.e. no weapon, no round in the chamber, so to speak, and the people, the armorer that was supposed to do it. If that's not negligence where somebody died, I'm not exactly sure what is. And if they can find out who put a real round in that firearm, I would charge that person with first-degree murder, extreme indifference, because I don't think they did that on their own, right? I didn't think that a real round didn't just happen to make its way in there. Somebody put that, and I don't have any proof of this. Maybe they just got it confused, but if that was, I got the is this a blank or is this the real round? Oh, I don't know. I'll just put it in here. If that's not negligence, I don't know what the hell is, right? So I would tell every one of those people out down there, lawyer up. Was it a complete accident? Did somebody maybe from the disgruntled crew that did not like Alec Baldwin? I mean, who would have thought Alec Baldwin, one of the most woke, enlightened people in all of America, and although I think his wife get canceled as well or something along those lines, but he's very, woke, enlightened, etc., unless it's on him. I lost my train of thought. I'm sorry, I got sidetracked there. But Alec Baldwin, he's totally, this woke guy, and now he's looking at being charged for guns. He's got some problems, right? And as the producer, we're talking. I'm sorry, I got sidetracked there. But who would have thought Alec Baldwin, the most woke guy in the world, thinks that fire the union crew because they want to get paid, right? They hadn't been paid in 3 weeks. They didn't want to get paid, and apparently their rates were too expensive on the union rate So they walked off, right? Who would have thought? Alec Baldwin, union buster. Go figure. So, yeah, he's got some problems. So I think Alec Baldwin, I'm sure he's talked to a lawyer because somebody, somebody probably told him, you better call an attorney, right? At least corporate counsel who's going to get you a criminal defense attorney because, at this point, my advice would be you're done cooperating. All statements will be made through counsel. Because, when it's criminally negligent, they don't have to prove, they being the prosecutor doesn't have to prove that it was the mental state. They have to prove that what was in the person's mind knowingly, right? It's not first degree murder. I mean, assuming he didn't know it was loaded, I give him credit for that. He did not know it was loaded, but somebody did it. But why do you have to pull the trigger? It's rehearsal. He's part of the company he owns the company that is producing the movie. And, bottom line is it goes off. It goes off. It's negligence. I mean, he could be looking at exposure, and I'm not trying to, be mean or whatever, but he it sounds like he went cheap. He tried to do the movie on the cheap, and it didn't turn out well. You got the armorer, the lady, and I forget her name off the top of my head, but she apparently made comments like, yeah, I'm not really sure I'm ready for this job. Why would you hire anybody that doesn't have enough confidence? I mean, there's people like, I don't have much experience, but I'm ready for the responsibility. I'm going to be working 10 hours a day, 20 hours a day. I don't care what it's going to take me. Whatever it does, dude, make sure I get this done and done correctly. That's the person you want, right? Not the person like, I'm just not sure if I'm ready for this. Like, what the hell? I wouldn't want that person anywhere near me. Like, I want people that are going to step up to the plate and do a great job. I'm not going to hire somebody that's unsure of themselves. Like, we're not a freaking, babysitting service here. Step up, do the job, do what it takes. Mission accomplishment is the only thing that matters. And that's what I'm telling you. It's the only thing that matters at the end of the day in anything in life, right? Nobody cares if you tried. Nobody cares if you tried really, really hard and you really, really wanted a different outcome. The only thing that matters is, did you get it done, right? And that's it. That is the only thing that matters at the end of the day. And that's why I think that so many people have so much difficulties in the modern day world, right? Participation trophies do no one any good, right? Participation trophies, people take those and they think, I could still be a professional soccer player someday. Look, I got all these trophies. No, somebody probably should have told them, you don't have the natural skill. You don't have the drive to work hard. You should probably go find something else that you're better at, right? Don't pump up those false hopes and dreams. Because when you get to the real world, guess what, ladies and gentlemen? You're going to get crushed because nobody cares. Nobody gets participation trophies in business, and you certainly don't get it in the practice of law. It doesn't happen that way. People expect results, and if you can't produce it, guess what? They're going to go find somebody else that can. And I assure you, there's always somebody else in business that's going to do it. There's always going to be somebody else that is going to be able to do it and say, yeah, you know what? I'm willing to work 23 hours a day to get it done. And oh, you're going to pay me a premium for that? Well, yeah, if you can get it done in that time, if you're going to bust your butt. But if you're just doing the bare minimums, nobody cares, ladies and gentlemen. Nobody cares. You got to put in the work. Otherwise, it just doesn't matter. Everybody wants more and more and more, but put in the work. Right now, people get paid for what they do. You want more money? Do more. Don't say, I'll do more if I get more money. Show me what you're going to do. All right. Little fatherly advice there, ladies and gentlemen. Don't count the participation trophies. Count the number ones. As I used to tell my son, you know what we call the first loser, Nicholas? That's right, second place. That's right. That's the only thing that matters. and I think he turned out okay. All right. My daughter, pretty competitive as well. It's a little tougher to judge dance, but, still like, oh, you second, Kelsey? Really? Second? No, just kidding. Love him anyway. But you got to put in the work. I remember both my kids. I mean, you got to put in the work. If there's anything I instilled with them, hopefully it was that it is a tough world out there. Nobody gives a crap about your feelings at the end of the day. And if you can't produce, someone's going to find somebody that can. That's the bottom line. We'll have to wait and see. So, and obviously somebody on that set of Rust down there in New Mexico, and I guess it's like near Albuquerque, but also in Santa Fe. Getting some weird. I have a buddy down there in Santa Fe that.
That's the last picture.
Oh, that was the last picture.
Okay. Yeah.
Oh yeah, so he would have been pointing it literally at the camera, which makes sense why it would have hit her. I think in the stomach was my recollection. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, I memean, just it's too bad. It's tragedy. She had a husband. She had a child. It's a tragic accident. But there's no such thing as they say in the legal business as accidents, right? An accident is a meteor falls out of the sky. It's negligence if it's reasonably foreseeable and it was preventable, right? It was preventable if somebody had followed normal, customary industry standards. Sounds like they took it on the cheap. Petrie Squad, always check the firearms yourself. Yes. In one caveat, okay? There is a firearm out there, and I'm not talking out of school, but I'm telling you, this thing just goes off. And that is the Sig Sauer P320. If you own one of those, I'm telling you, gently, carefully unload it. Make sure no one that you love is around and dispose of it. Okay? There are more civil cases going on with the Sig Sauer P320 where it just goes off. And you know who most of the victims are? Police officers. Police officers where it's holstered and it just goes off. So, just saying, be careful out there, ladies and gentlemen. Yeah. And an accident when it comes to firearm is, like any machine, like a firearm, it's not supposed to fire until certain things happen. But if it literally just goes off and it can discharge because of some movement or vibration, because they didn't make the machining just right. And with little vibration, like trying to, load it, the little sears that are supposed to hold each other there, they slip and they fall and then the gun discharges. That is an accident. That is not negligence. So yeah. All right. Let's see here. Well, we had a pretty good crowd tonight, didn't we? Bella, Crime Talk. Would you rather represent Alec Baldwin or Murdaugh? That's easy. Alec Murdaugh. No, I'm just kidding. No, Baldwin for sure, because he could pay his bill. Murdaugh's going to have trouble paying his attorneys here real soon. When this is all said and done, he will either be in there representing himself or he will have the public defender. I don't think that his attorneys are going to be able to stay on for the long haul unless it gets wrapped up rather quickly. Points the gun at her, pulled the trigger, and bang the end. Alex supposedly stated, "I'm not doing another take." Points the gun at her, pulled the trigger, and bang. Like, why'd you have to pull the trigger if it was a rehearsal, right? I don't know. All right. One, Rebecca, did you know that the amateur hour on that set by the sounds of it? Let's see here. All right. Wow. Well, guess what? Guess what we have to do? We have to go do our Patreon show. And we'll continue the conversation. Maybe we'll talk about other things. Probably talk about what they want to talk about. Tonight I kind of talked about what I wanted to talk about. But hey, it's my show. So I guess I can do that occasionally. We try to keep everybody happy, but the reality of it is right. Due diligence is right. I got grief from friends back in 2008 that home buyers should have known that they're getting $800,000 loan on $50K income was shady. Corvette Foster 40. Absolutely. It's the old adage. If it's too good to be true, it probably is. Okay? And just think about this, ladies and gentlemen. If you had what you would consider, say, responsible parents and all that advice that they gave you throughout the years, not a whole lot goes on, anything good after midnight and 5 a.m., right? Good advice. Follow the law, do well in school. Good advice, right? If you don't feel comfortable and there's someone behind you, turn around and run the opposite way or do something, right? Yell so loud. All the common sense stuff that your parents taught you, guess what? Where did they learn from? From their parents. And where did they learn from? From their parents. Because anything that goes on today, in the sense of crime, so to speak, it's nothing new. Yeah, we repackage it. Now it's just stuff on the internet, but it's the same old stuff, right? Thefts, scams, fraud, indecency, so to speak. Same thing the parents had. It was just in a magazine, right? Scams. They did it through the mail. Now they just do it faster. It's all new. It's nothing new. The only thing that changes are the names and the faces. It's all the same. So it's always ironic how everybody, every 10, 20 years, maybe 40, everybody thinks they're going to reinvigorate the criminal justice system and change it. One way or the other. It swings from the opposite. Oh, it's all about if we just gave everybody a big hug, it's going to be okay. No, not for some, right? There's some dangerous people out there. And I'm talking from a criminal defense perspective. There are some people out there that need to go to prison. They cannot function in society. They cannot control their impulses, and they do bad things to people. Okay? It's that simple. Some people, yeah, they need a good kick in the butt. And maybe, that'll do them. But sometimes if it involves drugs or alcohol, maybe they got to hit their bottom before they kind of bounce back and say, oh, I don't want to do this, right? But it's nothing new. But everybody acts like, oh my God, it's terrible. Oh my God, it's terrible, right? We have people doing bad things to children. You think that wasn't going on 1,000 years ago? 2,000? Of course it was. Do you think, there's a reason why they had those laws that you can't have relationships between, certain extended families? Yes, because all that crap went on. Now you just hear about it more. It took a lot more to get it to court then, but it's all the same stuff. So anyway. All right, we have to go do our Patreon show. I want to thank everybody for watching this evening. And seriously, thank you very much. Thank you for letting me talk a little bit about, it was my day. It was a bad day. Didn't get anything done. Apologize for not getting your video up today, but at least we had our live session. Talked a little bit about, being a lawyer is not exactly what everybody thinks it is. If you're going to be a trial lawyer, well, you better be going with the mentality to win. Yeah, no participation trophies here, that's for sure. And if you're going to become a trial lawyer, by God, know the rules of evidence. Okay? That's the only thing that matters, the rules of evidence at trial. Well, and occasionally a good fact or two. But you have to look at it like, all right, what's the worst piece of evidence they got against me? How can I keep it out? Do they have the right people? And I'm telling you, last 2 trials where they've had DNA issues, I was able to keep it out. Why? Because the benches are not very deep, because all the experienced district attorneys that could retire because they've been around a little while, are absolutely appalled at what is taking place in our criminal justice system right now. Like, all the different comfort courts and everyone going to make everybody happy with a big old group hug. They know it's crap. They can't do it. They're not going to take it anymore, and they quit. And so you got a lot of young, inexperienced DAs out there. Yeah, there's still some good ones out there, but I'm telling you, the good ones, they seem to be retiring. There's some coming up the ranks for sure, but there's a changing of the guard, so to speak. And a lot of good people not becoming DAs anymore because of the stuff that is going on in DA's offices. I mean, look in California, my God, that DA now, there's recall efforts for the DA in San Francisco, LA, because everybody gets a PR bond. I mean, why even have laws? And if you can't be a DA and enforce the laws, what the hell are you doing being in the executive branch? If you don't like that, this is Civics 101, right? Executive branch enforces the laws. Even if they don't like them, they have to do it. They just can't say, I'm going to ignore that law. They're completely not doing their duty. They have to go and try to change the law. And then they can enforce it, do it that way. But they have to enforce it whether they like it or not. So anyway, we digress, ladies and gentlemen. I assure you, probably our Patreon will be much more relaxed. Let's just put it that way. It's been a long day, but we still got a lot done. We'll have a video for you tomorrow. Thanks for watching. Subscribe, hit that like button, tell a friend. We're this close to 200,000, right? And we're kind of competitive people. We really want to get there sooner rather than later, because then it's from 200 to a million. All right? We're going to get there. So thank you very much. Thanks for watching. I know you had lots of things you could do other than watch the show. So have a great night. We'll see you next time on Crime Talk.